Good afternoon, and thank you for coming in. On behalf of Veterans in Politics, we greatly appreciate it. Just to give you a brief overview of this process, panel members will be given a 30-second introduction of ourselves, and then after that, you'll be given a 1-minute introduction of yourself, and then the panel members will begin to ask you questions. After a panel member asks you a question, you'll be given 1 minute in order to respond. And then at the end of the question and answer portion, you'll be given 1 minute for closing. So that way you can give everybody your campaign contact information and why you're the best candidate for this office. So I'll start first by introducing myself. My name is Jim Jonas. I'm the Director of Veterans in Politics, and I also co-host the podcast with Steve Sanson.
Thank you for showing up, Ms. Fernandez. My name's Gianno Amato. Been with Veterans in Politics for the last few years. Lived here all my life, and I'm a local entrepreneur.
Hello, I'm Robert Faust. I want to thank you for being here. I'm a third-generation VFW. My grandfather was in World War I. My father was in World War II. I fought in Vietnam. I played 10 years of baseball, professional baseball after the war. I spent 4 years in federal penitentiary for drug smuggling. And I am the author of 2 books that are on the market right now.
Okay, thank you. With that, the candidate will now have 1 minute to give an introduction of herself. Please include your name, the office you're running for, and also the reason why you're asking for our endorsement.
Aloha. I am Bernadine Fernandez, a Republican candidate for Nevada Assembly District 11. A little about myself is I'm originally from Maui, and I moved to Las Vegas in 2007 and decided to give it a try this year. And I've had political experiences with the union, and we've advocated for raises and other things. And I also was an advocate for child support with the deadbeats and got that legislature passed also. And right now, like I say, I'm running for Assembly 11. And what I bring to the table is listening to the constituents in Assembly 11 and bringing their issues forward and try to make Nevada a better place.
All right. Well, first off, I just want to thank you for running for office. It's not an easy thing. Those of us who have run for office understand that very well. My first question to you is, Veterans in Politics, we proposed legislation last legislative cycle, and the bill was called Remove or Retain. So I'll explain to you exactly what the bill entailed. Unfortunately, it did die in committee. So when we have incumbent judges, and it's only for incumbent judges, it's not for challengers. So an example would be an incumbent judge, okay, runs for re-election. However, they draw no opponents. What we want to do is we want to introduce a bill that judge that didn't draw any opponents would be on the ballot, but the ballot would say remove or retain this judge. If the citizens vote to retain, then fine, they win. If they don't vote to retain, if they say don't retain, then everybody who wants to be a judge that has the qualifications will then send their applications into the Judicial Appointment Board, which will select 3 and send those 3 to the governor, and then the governor will appoint that judge. Would you be willing to support that type of legislation?
Oh, yes. Like I said, my dad was also a veteran. He was in the Army, so I seriously support the veterans' issues. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that have been opposed, and I'll just try to collaborate with the best other assembly people and try to resolve things to the best of my knowledge, because this is my first time run.
Hello, Bernadine. Thank you for being here. So my first question is going to be about corrupt judges. Okay, so we got a couple corrupt judges here in town, and we got evidence that they're corrupt. Would you support a bill if we have evidence that they committed a crime or locked up a domestic violence victim for 2 weeks? Would you support a bill to remove that judge?
I would definitely. If they're not really doing their job, I wouldn't re-elect them as a judge. I mean, that's where I stand personally on my personal level. But I definitely wouldn't re-elect that judge and would try to collaborate on how we can get that judge removed.
Thank you.
Could you tell me, first of all, thanks for being here. Could you tell me what party you were running for or represent, and what religion are you, and would you let your religious thoughts come into the aspects of your decisions?
As for religion, I think that's a personal level. I really wouldn't bring religion into politics, but I would consider people's input. But I would definitely try to keep religion out of politics as much as I could. I mean, that's my personal review.
What party are you running for?
I'm running for Republican.
Okay, now this will probably be one of the toughest questions you get asked. And I'm being facetious because it actually is a tough question. Give me the borders of the district that you're running in. And the reason why I say it's a tough question is because I know it looks like some big jigsaw puzzle. So it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah. That I can, hold on a sec here. Well, my area, Assembly 11, it covers East Bonanza, Northeastern Avenue, East Washington Avenue. So it's a pretty large segment. And the population for Assembly 11 is 59,562 people. And they have the breakdown. I have the breakdown by, let's see here, the statistics. Did you want the percentages or you want the actual number?
No. Sorry, ma'am. No, I just wanted your boundaries.
Oh, the boundaries.
But if you want to break down your demographics, since you already have it up, go ahead.
Yeah, I think demographics is a big part in politics. I don't know what happened to my mic here. Oh, is that okay? Yeah, so in Assembly 11, we have like 48.4% white, 12.7% black, 2.1 American Indian / Alaskan Native. Asian is like, let's see here, 2.2%. And Pacific Islander is 0.6%. And some other races is 30.3% and other races. But generally, as Asians, it's pretty a small percentage, 0.6%. But most of them do come out to vote. And I'll be out there knocking on doors to get votes.
Okay, so my next question, and this keeps getting brought up over and over and over again. Separating the Clark County School District. Now, it seems to be a theme again this year because the majority of candidates seem to be Republican, and they want to break up the Clark County School District. Well, we all know that Clark County School District isn't exactly performing up to par. I mean, we're 49th in the country. Now, breaking up the Clark County School District, though, I'm just wondering what your take is on whether that is actually the way to go, considering if we break up the Clark County School District, right, now all of a sudden we get the School District of Mesquite, the School District of North Las Vegas, the School District of Las Vegas, the School District of Henderson, the School District of Boulder City, the School District of Moapa, and then also still have CCSD. So if people are already complaining about the Clark County School District having too many administrators, why should we break it up and add more administrators in other municipalities?
Well, CCSD has been having a lot of issues lately. I mean, from violence to heaven knows what. But I don't think we should make any the school district is any larger. I think it should be more condensed, in my opinion, because the larger it gets, the I don't know. You just get caught in the trap of like you have to go through this person, that person, and you get lost in the shuffle. But as far as school district, I think it should be more condensed.
Okay, so my next question, so my last question, we were talking about corrupt judges. The corrupt judges we were referring to was Mark Stevens. He was one of them back in 2000, at the end of 2015. He actually locked up a domestic violence victim for almost 2 weeks to the day, and that was to force them to testify, okay? They've already been supposedly victimized. And the other judge I was referring to was Matthew Harder. He's the one here in Las Vegas that's very corrupt, and we have actual evidence that he committed a crime, and he's still sitting on the bench. But the question, my next question talks about transparency. What do you think about the transparency, right? Do you think that officials, no matter which type of officials, but do you think they should be allowed to, hide video evidence, like for instance, like a police officer, right? A DA, do you think they should be allowed to hide video evidence? And if not, would you support a bill to, if let's say there was for instance, a officer involved shooting, that they shouldn't have to produce that video the very next day? Would you support a bill for that?
Yes, I would. Because just because they're a judge, that doesn't make them any exceptional to the rule. I think as a judge, they also took office with a role of doing a certain thing. And if they're not doing their job, I think we should submit a bill to get them out. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, and what about a police officer hiding the video footage? Would you support a bill to make sure within 24 hours, right? Not only when you see a victim, right? You see somebody, pull up a weapon and aim it at the police, and they release it within 24 hours. Would you support a bill to release all videos within 24 hours if it's the police officer's fault or if it's the citizen's fault?
If elected, I would support a bill to show evidence.
Thank you.
So, do you think that teachers are good gender coaches, or do you think that they are just should teach their class and that's it? Do you know what gender coaches are?
I'm not familiar with that term,
Are you a
so
boy
can
or
you
a girl?
elaborate on that?
Are you a boy or a girl?
Also, what is your question again on that?
So, do you think that school teachers are versed enough to guide children on what sex they are, or should they just mind their own business and teach a class?
Wow, that's a tough one. I know with the gender thing, that's a big issue here, but I don't think the teachers should get involved in things like that, but I know it's happened in Clark County School District. It just opens a can of worms, basically, when it's like you're trying to identify whether you're a woman or a man.
All right, so my next question is going to be around, again, it's very popular amongst Republicans, not so much amongst Democrats. Educational savings accounts, where basically the money that the federal government provides parents within the state of Nevada those tax dollars stay attached to that student. So then the parent would have the right to send their child to whatever school they want and use the federal tax dollars that they're getting from the federal government in order to pay for that tuition. Do you support that or no?
Yes, I do. Isn't that part of the cannabis money that they had?
No, not really. It's just more of, okay, so the independent, the educational savings accounts were brought in 2014. And then in 2016, the Republicans lost the legislature and they overturned ESAs. The reason why the Democrats overturned the ESAs is because they were concerned about separation of church and state. So, for instance, if you have a child and you're given a check for, I believe in Nevada, it's $7,254, right? But if you send your child, you decide you want your child to go to Gorman, that's technically a religious school, so they found it unconstitutional. Would you be willing to bring the educational savings accounts back?
Yes, I would.
Okay, thanks.
So, do you think that the school board in Clark County is too big? And do you think it's do you think that the infighting in there is really detrimental to the whole program?
Yes, I do. As far as the violence and things that's happening in Clark County, it's a tough one because it's like, I'm not sure if we need more disciplinary action or what the way to resolve it. But there's so much violence in Clark County, and it's pretty scary. If I was a teacher, I would be definitely scared, try to be teaching these kids that come to school with guns and all that. And I'm for guns, for protection for guns. But it's a tough situation. It's like, how do we control gun control in the school? It's a great question.
Okay, so talking about guns in schools, would you support a bill to allow certain teachers that go through training, especially, making sure that they're mentally stable to have a weapon on them to be able to protect our children?
Yes, I definitely would support that. And along with more, gun safety, making sure that the person who owns the gun also knows more gun safety.
So my next question is going to be, after getting with your constituents in Assembly District 11, what are the top 3 concerns in your Assembly District right now that your constituents are facing? And what are your plans to address those issues?
Well, the issues like housing, affordable housing. Everybody's talking about affordable housing. It's like rents are astronomical, crazy out here. Housing, water, and infrastructure. As far as infrastructure, I guess the only time they really try to fix the roads is during election time, which is 2022. But it's water. I'm not sure on how I would deal with water, but basically the 3 top issues is housing, water, and infrastructure. It's like how we can better our transportation system, how we can fix our potholes. I don't know, you tell me.
All right. So my next question on that, and yeah, infrastructure is a big issue right now. But also another issue that we're facing right now is cost of living expenses, right? And you brought up the rent issue, which is a very important issue. But what I wanted to dive in more as far as the cost of gas. Now, literally, that's at the assembly level, you can't address a lot of that. But what you can do is, would you be willing to propose a bill that would actually put a temporary cap on state gas taxes? And before you answer that, though, state gas taxes and county gas taxes, a lot of that money goes to repairing roads. So how would you balance that out? Would you put a cap on gas taxes or no?
Yes, I would put a cap on gas taxes. We're just paying too much on gases right now. I mean, it's like working people barely can afford to get to work, to and from work. It's crazy. I mean, 5 something a gallon. I mean, but that's even further. It goes like to the federal level. It's like, with the pipelines with our oil and stuff. So it all trickles down. But yeah, gas prices is crazy. It's like the working people can barely afford to fill up their gas tank with gas at 5 something a gallon.
I got one last question. The election, okay? Everybody talks about how it was stolen, and I want to ask you: do you think the election was stolen? The presidential election, man.
I'm not. Yes, I believe it was, but I'm not absolutely positive on that. It's like getting the details. I'll have to research on something like that. I haven't gone into that issue, but I possibly think it was stolen.
But you don't have no evidence?
No evidence.
Okay. Do you believe in evidence?
I believe in evidence.
Okay, so if there is no evidence, then what does that mean?
It's been corrupt.
Thank you. It was definitely corrupt.
Okay, with that, I honestly don't have any more questions. I do apologize for cutting time so short, but we're trying to make sure that we give all the assembly candidates enough time to speak, and we have a lot coming in today. First off, I want to thank you for coming in. I'll make sure you get your concluding statements, and good luck in your race. And I know Johnny right now is behind me, going to slap me in the back of the head for something, but I love Johnny.
I appreciate being here, and I look forward for everybody going out to vote. And again, I'm Bernadine Fernandez, Assembly 11.
Do me a favor, Bernadine. I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget it's not the podcast. I get into conversation mode. If you can just look straight into the camera and give a 2-minute conclusion of who you are, make sure you get all your campaign information out, why people should vote for you, your vision for District 11, as much information as you can put out there in 2 minutes, or roughly 2 minutes.
Okay. I'm Bernadine Lonnie Howe Fernandez, running for Assembly District 11. I hope everyone goes out to vote and see you at the polls, and we'll see what happens there. Thank you for honoring me to be able to speak here.
Okay, make sure you get out your campaign contact information.
You can. My website is alohaconsultantlv.com, and if you have any donations, please donate to my website, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, that's going to conclude our endorsement interview for Nevada State Assembly District 11.